Travels by Broomstick comes to you from South Wales, the land of the dragon. Oh, and sheep. We got lots of sheep. Welcome to all you good people out there in podcast land. So, let's get the broomstick out the garage, and off we go.
It's spooky season every episode for us at Travels by Broomstick, but today it's Halloween, and our adventure seems to have it all, with tales of black magic, hauntings, demonic entities, exotic pets, necromancy, 39 bells, and a gift shop.
Today's journey takes us to Tredegar House, located on Pencarn Way, Dyffryn, Newport, in South Wales, in the UK.
Welsh, wealthy and wild, the Morgan family called Tredegar House their home for centuries. It was described as the grandest and most exuberant country house in Monmouthshire.
Tredegar House stands in a reduced landscape garden of 90 acres. The property became a Grade 1 listed building on March 3, 1952, and has been under the care of the National Trust since March 2012. The park surrounding the house is designated Grade 2 on the Cadw Register of Parks and Gardens of Special Historic Interest in Wales.
The earliest surviving part of the building dates back to the late 15th century. The house was originally built of stone and had sufficient status to host King Charles I, and was described as a fair place of stone. Records of Tredegar House date back to the medieval age. However, the iconic red brick that we know today was built in the 1670s.
It was Sir William Morgan who decided to rebuild the house on a larger scale from red brick, which at the time was a rare building material in Wales. Sir William Morgan and his wife Blanche combined their wealth to boast their high fashion and affluence, turning the stone manor into an extravagant country mansion. By the late 1700s, the estate spanned more than 40,000 acres into the surrounding Welsh hills.
Sir Charles Gould Morgan, 1st Baronet, was head of the family at this time. He had a mind for business and soon realised the enormous value of the land on his estate. It was the industrial age, and the land on the estate was rich in minerals, making it an ideal place for coal mines and ironworks. Sir Charles saw this as a wonderful opportunity to capitalise on his estate and decided to lease the land to mine owners, as well as establishing the Brecon and Monmouthshire Canal.
Fortunes continued to flourish. Following his father's financial successes, his son, Sir Charles Morgan, 2nd Baronet, further expanded several commercial and industrial projects, which practically established Newport as a bustling trade centre.
In 1854, Godfrey Morgan fought in and survived the charge of the Light Brigade at the Battle of Balaclava in the Crimean War. Godfrey's horse, Sir Briggs, also survived the war and lived at Tredegar House. Godfrey always remained humble about his involvement in the cavalry, and would make sure to mention Sir Briggs, his noble steed, and the contribution he made to the iconic charge. In 1905, Godfrey commissioned a painting depicting a scene of him and Sir Briggs during battle. The horse lived until 28 years of age, when he sadly died and was buried in the Cedar Garden with a memorial raised over his grave.
Godfrey was created 1st Viscount Tredegar. He never married, and upon his death the estate was passed to his nephew, Courtney Morgan. Godfrey is widely remembered for his kind heart. He not only gave away parts of his land, including what is now the Royal Gwent Hospital and Bellevue Park, but he also reduced the rent for his tenants, even letting one widow woman live rent-free after her husband's death.
The end of the Morgan family at Tredegar House came with Evan Morgan, Godfrey's great-nephew, but this is where our story starts. Wild at heart, Evan Morgan was well known for his extravagant parties and his involvement in black magic.
Evan Morgan was an animal lover. He owned a menagerie of animals, including a boxing kangaroo, whose name was Somerset, a honey bear named Alice, a baboon called Bimbo, an alligator, and Blue Boy the macaw, which he trained to climb up his trouser leg and stick his head out of his flies at parties. The animals often lived inside the house, including rabbits that ran around happily in his bedroom. Interestingly, before Evan's bizarreness had become well known, his mother got tongues wagging when she took her passion for ornithology to the extreme, believing herself to be a bird, fashioning a giant nest for herself to sleep in.
Evan was a poet and a painter. He liked to dress up as the poet Shelley, whose remains lay in Rome's Protestant cemetery. Evan astonished onlookers by trying to communicate with the dead poet by going into violent convulsions. The famous author H.G. Wells, who wrote more than 50 novels, including The Time Machine, The Invisible Man, and War of the Worlds, just to name a few, was a good friend of Evan Morgan. H.G. Wells was called the Shakespeare of science fiction, and he and Evan were known to dabble in the dark arts and the paranormal. Evan was eccentric and mysterious. One of his most famous friends was none other than the great black magician Aleister Crowley, the Beast 666. Evan soon gained notoriety as an occultist, with Aleister Crowley referring to Evan as an adept of adepts. They engaged in occult rituals together. Some accounts even suggest that Evan's magical practices were too extreme, too dark for Aleister Crowley, even leaving him unnerved. And this is a man known to society as the wickedest man in the world. Evan seemed to be fatally attracted to dangerous people. He met Aleister Crowley for the first time in Paris. Later, Crowley went to stay at Tredegar House, where Evan proudly revealed his black magic ritual room. Crowley is said to have marvelled at the room, saying it was far greater than anything he'd ever thought, declaring it to be the best equipped room he had ever seen. Evan enjoyed the dark and mysterious. He was known as the Black Monk. He was an expert in the occult and necromancy. He often read tarot cards at his parties and obsessed about the paranormal.
During the Second World War, Evan was a high-ranking officer in MI8, his particular responsibility being the monitoring of carrier pigeons. But one day his loose lips got him into deep trouble when he let slip some departmental secrets to two girl guides, and Evan was court-martialed and was lucky to have escaped without imprisonment. In retaliation, Evan called Aleister Crowley to Tredegar House to take part in a magic spell, a cursing ritual on his commanding officer.
Whatever Evan did terrified Crowley, who promptly fled Tredegar House before the cursing ritual was even complete. Soon after, Evan's commanding officer contracted some strange and mysterious illness and nearly died. Could Evan have actually cursed him?
There are rumours that during one of these black magic rites, something dark and inhuman crawled out of one of the pits of hell, that this being still lurks in the house to this very day.
Despite his openly acknowledged homosexuality, Evan was married twice. His first marriage was to the actress Lois Sturt, the daughter of land-rich Lord Arlington, but she developed a drug habit that eventually killed her.
Later, Evan married the Russian princess Olga Sergeyevna Dolgorovska, daughter of the wealthy General Prince Sergei Alexandrovich Dolgorovsky. But the union was annulled in 1943 on the grounds of his non-consummation of the marriage. This was after 3 years.
Evan died on the 27th of April 1949 at the age of 55, when the poetry, parrots, parties, promiscuity and paranormal rituals sadly ended.
To avoid death duties, Tredegar House was passed straight to Evan's uncle Frederick's son John, the 6th Baron Tredegar, who soon afterwards sold it to the Sisters of St. Joseph, when the house became a Catholic girls' school run by nuns. In the 1970s, Newport Council bought the house and transformed it into a museum that reflected the unique story of the house. And in 2012, the council leased Tredegar House to the National Trust, who now care for its historic buildings and gardens.
It is said that a ghostly procession of nuns has been seen walking solemnly through the grounds of Tredegar House. The curious onlookers watched in complete awe as the nuns walked through the inner courtyard and vanishing once they reached the brew house. They seemed to glide along eerily, silently, as if in quiet reflection.
Visitors have also reported seeing a nun at the top of the stairs, staring down at people as they enter, possibly one of the old Catholic school teachers, as the house was used as a Catholic convent school from 1952 to the 1970s.
The sound of bells still ring out from the bells passage. This is a system of 39 bells that would tell the servants in Tredegar House which room their assistance was required. It is said that even though the elaborate bell system is no longer working, the bells still ring at odd times when the house is silent and still. Maybe the spirits are still requiring some assistance.
Staff have heard doors locking and unlocking, slamming and knocking. The sound of someone walking around the house is also being heard by those brave enough to be the last ones there at night.
A Victorian gentleman with a moustache has been sighted in the attic, and it has been said that witchcraft is still being practiced by at least 12 spirits, led by a man in a black cloak. The whole place has an aura of mystery. As the dusk draws in, it seems to be incredibly dark and incredibly foreboding. Could this dark figure be the Black Monk, Evan Morgan himself, or maybe even Aleister Crowley?
The ghost of John Morgan, 1670 to 1719, who died in his bedchamber, is said still to haunt the room. People have reported seeing him still sat up in his bed, silently turning his head to look at them, probably wondering why they're in his bedchamber.
The ghost of the horse Sir Briggs can be seen on misty mornings, with the sounds of his hooves clattering off into the distance.
A small girl in a white dress is reported to touch visitors near the doors of the old nursery wing. How spooky is that?
After walking around the mysterious manor, how many brooms do you give Tredegar House?
Well, I'm going to give Tredegar House 5 brooms.
Do you believe that Tredegar House is haunted?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt.
Did you feel anything while you were there?
Well, it was a lovely sunny day, wasn't it?
Ghosts are still there in the sunshine.
I know they are. Yeah, but some of the rooms I did, yes, I guess.
I did find that the house itself was very dark, even though it was sunshine. It was very dark inside and very cold and spooky.
Yeah, I agree with you, but that might just be, old buildings, thick walls. But it did have an atmosphere, didn't it?
Yes, it did. What was your favourite room in Tredegar House?
Well, my favourite room is as you go in the front door and turn right, there's a room there, and it's full of gold. I think it's called the gold room, I'm not sure. But everything in there is gold, and it's reflective, and the sunshine was coming through the windows, and it looked spectacular.
Yeah, I thought it looked really spooky though as well at the same time. It looked spectacular and grand and just so expensive, but at the same time it looked kind of magical. And It had a lot of weird paintings.
Yeah, I got the impression from it might have been the room used for the black magic rituals.
Yes, I felt the same way. There was a lot of nude paintings and paintings that could have been...
Was there? I missed that.
Oh, there was a lot of boobies out.
Oh dear.
Would you have liked to have visited Evan Morgan and gone to one of his wild parties or dark necromancy rituals?
Yeah, I would like to have gone just to see. Just not to join in, just to see, I think.
As a fly on the wall?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I feel that William Burgess and Lord Bute would have enjoyed these parties because they were really into the paranormal, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, yeah.
We did an episode on Castle Coch, which you can go listen to next if you feel like you want to. And yeah, they did the... can't think what it's called now.
Rituals.
Yeah, they did the rituals and the seances.
Yeah, they did it at Cardiff Castle as well, didn't they?
They did. We are going to have a Cardiff Castle episode coming soon, so watch out for that. Well, happy Halloween and have a blessed Samhain. I hope that you have a magical night filled with frightful delights.
Well, wishing you all a happy Halloween, and we hope you've had a magical time. Goodbye.